Hey folks, Silvis here, I'm on FDR. We're here to talk about the state of the elections. And also wander around lost in the ancient temple. Bam. So, about 2 weeks ago, I actually don't remember the exact date, but about 2 weeks ago was the first presidential debate. Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, of course. I don't know exactly what I was expecting from that debate, but it did not fulfill my expectations. Trump lost. For sure, Trump lost. But he didn't, lose horrifically. There was a couple of, out there moments where I was like, whoa. But it lacked a, catastrophic implosion of him. It lacked a, definitive shutdown from Hillary Clinton also. Not to say, he didn't do poorly or anything, but yeah, he did not do great. To be fair to Donald Trump, and I'm gonna bring this topic up a couple of times in this video, but I do not like Donald Trump, and I do not really like the current state of Republicans in the United States. I think the Tea Party is a mess, and I'm not happy with the state of things. So, to kind of prove that point, for instance, last election, I personally leaned a little bit more on Mitt Romney. I thought he was the better choice. I did ultimately vote for Obama, though, because while I thought in a just pure who's the better presidential material, Mitt Romney was the better choice, because I don't really like Obama all that much. A Mitt Romney victory would have been a Republican victory. It would have validated their awful methods that they've been using since Obama got elected, and it would have validated the existence of the Tea Party, and it would have validated their incredibly awful ideals on certain topics. And Mitt Romney to me wasn't a good enough president option to warrant that. So ultimately I voted for Obama. Now the thing is, though, so I say I dislike the current state of Republicans, and I dislike Donald Trump on a personal level and whatnot too. I try to be extraordinarily cautious, though, that I have that inherent bias, because it's not even an inherent bias; it's a known bias. So when Donald Trump says something and my knee-jerk reaction is that guy's an idiot, I try to be like, wait, hold on. Am I just saying this because I don't like him, or was that actually an incredibly idiotic statement? And that's something I struggle with, because I want to make sure I'm not speaking from a biased point of view, and that I'm actually objectively looking at him and going so I try to, and I like to play devil's advocate. So I try to give him his fair opportunity, and I try to give him his fair share of, and I try to, if he does something good, he does something good. So the first debate came, and I'd considered the possibility that he was going to implode. I'd considered the possibility that even without him imploding, Hillary Clinton would crush him. I considered the possibility that he would dominate her by just being so... She is a, career politician. She knows how to play the political game, and Donald Trump was able to do well in the Republican primaries by operating on a different set of rules than his opponents, and his opponents were just, unable to figure out how to respond to him in time. And then he built so much momentum that it was basically, it was too late for them. I hate that one just got away from me. And yeah, that's basically what happened with him, too. He did effectively play just by an entirely different set of rules than, politics normally just does. I don't mean that in a sense that he was, cheating or something like that. But I mean to say, normally, in the primary, you would try to be kind of civil. Maybe not necessarily civil, but you know that ultimately, like right now, you're in the Republican primary or the Democratic primary, because it's the same thing. You're in this primary, and you're competing for the votes of your party against another person in your party. And when it's all said and done, whoever wins has to get the people that were voting for the other person from their party to ultimately vote for them against the person from the other party in the general election. So you can't, like, berate the person that they're supporting. You can't, like, savagely attack them and imply that, you know, like, they're a child molester and only other child molesters would support that candidate, because then you need to get that guy's supporters to back you. You need that guy to back you. And that's what we saw after the primaries, where, like, Ted Cruz refused to kind of endorse him at the Republican National Convention, which was kind of a horrific. So we saw that problem, and because he, like, savagely attacked the other people, we have these issues now where there's not unity in the Republican Party and all that stuff. But, I mean, that was the thing. So they were playing this, like, gentleman's game almost, where they're like, well, we're gonna, you know, we're having an honorable duel, and he was like, and I'm gonna punch you in the nuts. So while they were, like, getting punched in the nuts by Donald Trump, they had no idea how to respond to him. So I did consider the possibility that Hillary Clinton would run into the same problem. That he would just play by a different set of rules to such an extent that she was just like, I don't know how to proceed. He's got me. I just don't know what's happening right now. And, like, yeah, that was a very real possibility of how things were going to play out, too. So, I mean, like, yeah. Ooh. So, yeah, I had considered that, like, maybe he would win the debate. As horrible as a concept as that is to me. Because I definitely do not even want to consider that. But, yeah, I had considered the possibility that he would have won the debate. As, again, as wretched as that is. And then ultimately, none of those things happened. Like, he lost the debate, the first debate. For sure, he lost the debate. Afterwards, people tried to kind of spin it and be like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and it was pretty that bad. He clearly lost. It wasn't a, like, degrees of losing. He lost. She put up a solid game. She did not get the crushing blow against him. He didn't implode. He didn't lose by a wide margin, but he lost. Then we went to the vice presidential debate. And to be honest, nobody cared. Like, nobody cared. The vice presidential debate should, in theory, be about who is better to lead the country in the event that the president would die. Which I feel like in this particular election is actually relevant, because looking back at any of the recent elections that have happened, I would say the odds of, like, Obama not making it past a year in office, or George Bush not making it past a year in office, or Bill Clinton not making it, or going back to the other Bush, or Reagan, or anybody else, were pretty low. But I'm thinking that there is you should be concerned about the possibility that maybe they won't survive past a year. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything. I'm not suggesting I'm going to do anything. But I think that's something that should be considered, more so than in any other election. That maybe Mike Pence or Tim Kaine might actually end up being the president. And that's actually kind of terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, actually, now that I think of it. That's absolutely terrifying. But so I think in this debate, or in this election cycle, I should say, which of the vice presidents is actually the better vice president was kind of important. Unfortunately, that isn't what the vice presidential debate was about at all. The vice presidential debate was two people attacking each other's running mate. I thought, yeah, and see, this comes down to an inherent bias on my part, but it also comes down to something else in that Donald Trump doesn't have like policy positions. Which again, in his defense, he's not a politician, so it sort of makes sense that he doesn't have policy decisions. But he does not have policy decisions or positions, I should say. Um, so Hillary Clinton has like, this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. So you can look at that and go, I'm going to attack her on this point that seems questionable. Donald Trump doesn't have that. He hasn't said, I'm going to do things in this manner. He's like, in the debate tonight when he spoke about healthcare, he said something to the effect of, I'm going to make it so much better. We're going to have the best health insurance, and I'm going to do that by there being competition. Like, that's nonsense. I understand that you can't get like super in depth in like a policy argument or something like that while in a debate format, but that's nonsense. And he has had other opportunities to kind of lay out an actual position, and he has not done so. So in the vice presidential debate, we kind of had this situation where Tim Kaine, I don't know exactly why. Tim Kaine definitely lost that debate. He went on the attack for no real reason. Mike Pence did a lot better job of countering, I guess. I'm actually going to pause real quick because I need to walk over and get my drink. So give me 1 second. All right, I'm all iced teed up. We're good to go. So yeah, he won. At that point, Trump was kind of reeling from his bad first debate, and I gotta give Trump his credit for his failure in the first debate, because Trump is not a politician, as he points out, but it is in fact worth mentioning. He's a businessman. He's not a politician. And before I call him a businessman, I would probably say he's specifically a salesperson. He's really good at reading a person or a crowd and getting them to go in the way he wants them to go. And this is no way intended to insult or like be a negative against him. Like, this is an actual talent and a skill that he has. And this is the thing that he built up from his career in business. He is an excellent salesman. He can convince you to buy things, and that's what a salesman is supposed to do. The problem with that is that that's not a politician. And a skill that a politician has is the ability to debate. One-on-one or with a crowd where he's just speaking and leading the audience, he's amazing. Like, his rallies are legitimately amazing. I did not realize there was an Orc Berserker here. If not, kind of terrifying. But, like, he does an amazing job. So, I mean, like, props to him on that, but he is not a good debater. And anybody trying to, like, tell a story that he is a good debater, and that he won the debate is basically being deceptive, because that's not actually his strength. And even if you talk to him on a day where he wasn't boasting, he would probably agree with that. He'd say, like, that's not a skill I have. I'm not a politician. Learning how to debate was not one of my priorities. Learning how to make money and run my business was one of my priorities. And that's honestly perfectly fine. But that's why it's worth mentioning that he lost the debate, because that's not his strong suit. And it is, however, Hillary Clinton's strong suit. I think he made a tactical error of not taking it seriously. But on the other hand, maybe he knew it wasn't going... Like, maybe he knew even if he took it seriously, it wasn't going to go well for him. So he just said, screw it. I'll just take the loss. I'll focus on other things. I'll focus on having more of my rallies, and I'll take the loss on the debate, because I know no matter what I do, I'm not winning it. And then it was kind of, it was Mike Pence's job to fix that. Why am I going after a fire devil, by the way? Yeah, this is a bad idea. So, yeah, it became Mike Pence's job to, like, run damage control on the second debate. And he succeeded where he needed to succeed. The thing is, though, and this is what a lot of people are saying in the post-debate analysis tonight, and it's kind of worth saying, so I'm going to repeat it. Donald Trump already has his supporters locked down. Unless he does something truly outrageous. And this video thing that happened, and I'm going to get to that, I don't think that was outrageous enough to really alter the dynamics of things. So unless he does something like unbelievable, and him personally doing it, like this is a video that happened, it happened 11 years ago. So he has like, that comes with a built-in like excuse almost. So unless he legitimately punches somebody in the head or something like that, like him personally punches somebody in the head, or pulls an Anthony Weiner and sends naked pictures of himself to like a news agency or something, like something just you can't believe that just happened level. His supporters aren't going to change their mind. Like, he's got them locked in. They're not going anywhere. And that isn't enough. In a video I did a while back on FDR here, I talked about the problems facing the Republican Party, and one of those problems is just changing demographics. The people that vote Republican are dying of old age. And they're not being replaced in the quantities that they need to be replaced. More people are getting educated and are leaning Democrat. There's more women that are voting than in the past, and they're voting Democrat. There's more minorities in the country. Asians, Southeast Asians, like Pacific Islanders, African Americans, Latinos of all sorts, people from Muslim countries, even like Europeans, really. And they're all voting Democrat. So the Republican Party needs to somehow figure out how to expand its base beyond their like middle class, middle-aged white group. So Donald Trump has that group locked in, but that group by itself isn't going to win him the election. Unless Hillary Clinton drops the ball and manages to get enough people from the Democratic coalition to not come in, which is possible. So what Trump needs to do is turn people off of Hillary Clinton and then expand into possibly the people that are turned off by Hillary Clinton, but there is kind of and this election cycle is weird, but normally there's a big line of being like, well, I don't want to support my local team, and I will support the enemy kind of thing. So what he needs to do is he needs to pick up the people that are undecided, that are on the fence, that are moderates, that are torn between two things. Now, a lot of people say that they call the people in the middle moderates. I do not consider myself a Democrat, and I do not consider myself a Republican, and I also do not consider myself a moderate. What I consider myself, and I joke, but I say my position is an extremist, because I don't actually want the moderate positions. I like the more higher-end extreme positions from both sides of the party. So it's not like I'm like, some gay marriage is fine, and some abortion is fine, and some, like, defense spending is fine. I like defense spending. I like that our military is really powerful, but I also think it's retarded, and that wasn't politically correct right there, but I think it's retarded that gay people can't marry. I think the whole argument over abortion is nonsense. I think the voting rights thing is also nonsense. All the attempts that Republicans make to try to like curtail minorities from voting is nonsense. But I also think the extreme tax cuts are nonsense. But there is a lot of things that on the Republican side I actually support, and they're generally the more extreme things. Like I'm anti marijuana legalization, for instance, and I kind of generally like harsh penalties for crime. So Donald Trump needs to get people like me who like some of the Republican positions, but not all of them, and he needs to convince me that the Republican positions are more important to me than the Democratic positions, and he's not doing that. Now, that's what he needed to do in tonight's debate, and that's what he's needed to do. He's needed to branch out of his base and get people like me, or people that are undecided, or actual moderates. He needs to convince them that he's the less extreme choice out of him and Hillary Clinton. Or he needs to weaken Hillary Clinton's position sufficiently that people don't vote for her, and maybe some of them come and vote for him. Because, like, weakening your opponent is sufficient. If he can get enough people to not vote for her, the people that are guaranteed to come out and vote for him might tip the scales. But all of his attacks and all of his methods of advancement that he's utilized aren't addressing any of those things. Everything he says and everything he does is designed to rally and motivate the people that are already guaranteed to vote for him. And that is a huge failing. That's like a huge tactical or strategic failing on his and his campaign's part right now. And I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Donald Trump campaign, so I mean, I have absolutely no idea who's responsible for this. But hey. And then we move on now to tonight's debate. So tonight's debate happened. Before tonight's debate happened, it's Sunday. Currently it's Monday because it's 2:05 a.m., but it's interesting to me to think, just on this note, by the way, though, that California, it's not actually Tuesday. California is in the past right now. Or am I in the future? One of those. Anyway. So on Friday, though, the video was released by, I believe it was the Washington Post, from 2005, of him making, we'll say, highly inappropriate comments regarding women. If you have not seen the video is not going to play on in this video. But I do suggest you Google it or look it up. Now, what I'll say about this video is politics is not a fair game. Being in politics is not a fair game. My personal opinion of this video is that it's actually not that bad. I almost feel for Donald Trump on this. Yes, it's what he said is pretty reprehensible. And what he said was rude and obnoxious and should have never been said. But the thing is that, like, they weren't public statements. They were joking statements to his friend. As he actually said, it was locker room speak. And it kind of was, though. Like, we all say things like that in private to our friends. Maybe not specifically like that. And I will grant that that did go above and beyond what should have been said. But, like, I do, in a sense, feel for him. But I will also say, though, that this is politics, and it's like speeding in your car, okay? You know you're not supposed to. You know that it's technically against the law, but everybody goes 5 or 10 miles over the speed limit. It happens. You also do it, though, knowing that if you get caught, you got caught. You're not speeding your car thinking that it's okay. You might be speeding your car thinking you'll never get caught, but you're not speeding in your car thinking that even if you get caught, nothing bad will happen and that you won't get a ticket. And you won't have to try to get out of the ticket. Like, you know what you're doing is technically wrong. You know that there could be consequences. You might still be unhappy that the consequences happened. And that's perfectly reasonable. But yeah, you know that there's consequences for doing that kind of thing. And that's the kind of situation Donald Trump was in there. Now, Donald Trump and his supporters will kind of claim that this is like political correctness run amok. I don't know what the actual definition is for political correctness. To me, though, political correctness is saying things like, that's retarded, for instance. Where, yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't say it. But you're not intending to say it, like, in a hurtful sense. Now, if I scream at somebody and say, you're retarded, that's not being politically correct. That's just being rude and offensive and insulting a person. There's a difference between those two things. Making, like, a clear racist remark Like, I won't serve him because he's black. That's not being politically correct. That's being racist. Being impolitically correct, for instance, would be saying something like, I have to keep an eye on him while he's in the shop because he's black. That's still, like, racist, but saying that kind of thing falls, to me at least, more in the territory of its political correctness, that you shouldn't say that. And I also don't think being politically correct is wrong. You shouldn't say things that upset people or hurt people's feelings. So saying, I would watch that guy extra because he's black, is inappropriate and shouldn't be said. But that falls into the political correctness thing. So for the people who don't like political correctness, that would be the thing where they could make their argument that that was being politically correct. Whereas a clearly, like, I don't serve black people in my restaurant, that's not being politically correct. That's just being racist. So Donald Trump's people are going to say that. They're going to go, oh, it's not sexist, it's just being politically correct. No, I mean, that was actually sexist. Like, that was an actual sexist statement. That was a, like, highly offensive sexist statement also. The other thing, though, is that political correctness kind of only applies to average people. Donald Trump, as a celebrity and a person with, like, shocking amounts of wealth, gets to play on a more scrutinized role. It's like comparing a normal class to, like, an advanced placement class. You're kind of, I don't really know the answer, but I'm going to write in some BS mumbo jumbo. That might fly in a normal class, but it's not going to fly in a AP class. Donald Trump gets to deal with extra scrutiny on all of his comments because he has $1 billion. Okay? Or however much he has. We don't know because he hasn't released his tax statements. Bam! I went there. But, you know, that's life. And if Donald Trump wants to be treated like a normal person, then he can live in, like, a 2 or 3 bedroom, 2-story house in the suburbs, and he can quit his job as a CEO of a giant multinational company and, you know, take up a job as maybe like an accountant or maybe like a frontline supervisor or something, and he can be an average person. But until he is an average person, he gets to deal with extra scrutiny. That's the trade-off he accepted. So as a celebrity and as a person that gets viewed by society extra intently, it's his job to make sure he doesn't say stupid things like that. So in that sense, he totally deserves what he's getting from this. I do feel for him, but he totally deserves what he's getting from this. And again, like, politics isn't fair, so this is just a crappy situation to be in. There isn't a good solution for this. There isn't like oh, he just has to do A, B, C and he'll get past this. I think the best thing he can do is to just own up to it. Man up and just be like, look, I said that 11 years ago. I was joking with my friends. It was locker room talk. I shouldn't have said it. I'm genuinely sorry that I did. I'm genuinely sorry that it hurt people. I've grown since then, though. That was 11 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 11 years ago. I will make sure this doesn't happen. Here's what I'm going to do to make sure this doesn't happen. And I'm going to try to write this. Here's what I'm going to do to write this. I'm going to donate money to like a women's shelter or something like that. I'm going to like try to do whatever I can to sincerely make this better. And that's not what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump gave a pretty lame excuse. I'm gonna say it was a pretty. He wasn't sorry about what he said. He was sorry that he got caught. Not even that. It goes beyond... Okay. So did somebody seriously die here? It goes beyond him being sorry that he got caught, because I don't think he actually cares that he got caught. I think he's sorry that the thing he did was something that looks bad. And there's a slight difference, but I'm not going to go into it. So his apology to me seemed pretty legitimately insincere. And then he tried to turn it into an attack on Bill Clinton. And that's not gonna take you anywhere. Now, at the beginning of this whole election cycle, when it was basically apparent that it was going to be Donald Trump, but before we got to the conventions, before he officially got the nominee, there was a lot of people who were saying, how can the religious right, the Christians, support Donald Trump? He's a terrible person. He is a terrible person. That doesn't make him bad at business. That probably makes him significantly better at business than your average person could ever hope to be. But he's not a moral person. He's not the paragon of virtue that the Christian political machine wants him to be, for sure. Nowhere close. So how can they support this man? He's on his third wife. He cheated on his first wife, like, publicly, and then married that woman he was cheating with. And I'm pretty sure he cheated on her. How can they support this guy? Well, the thing is that whole avenue of attack that people, like, Republican or Democrats were trying to, like, use there, it's a dead end. It wasn't going to go anywhere, and it didn't go anywhere. And here's why. Your average person in America has probably, in fact, been divorced. If they haven't been divorced, they've probably cheated on a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or possibly cheated on their spouse. And if they haven't done that, they probably have a family member who did. And I'm talking like a close family member, a brother or a sister or a parent or a child. And if they haven't, then they almost certainly know somebody who did. The exception, I suppose, would be the, like, ultra closed in, like, religious communities or something. But the fact is, like, my mom's ultra religious, and she supports Donald Trump, so is my stepdad, for that matter. My mom's on her second marriage, and I'm a product of her and a guy who she didn't marry. And my stepdad has a child from his first marriage. And that's the thing. Most people, the stigma of divorce basically is gone for most people because they know somebody if they haven't personally been divorced. So attacking him on being divorced is the same as attacking every American who has ever been divorced. So it wasn't going to do anything. The people on the religious right can't go, well, divorce is a game breaker, because then they probably can't talk to a multitude of people that they used to know. Like, they have a multitude of friends and family members who they'd have to then condemn. I believe there's a dragon over there. And that's why that was a dead end. Now, Donald Trump is trying to turn his problems into an attack on Bill Clinton. But even if he didn't have his problems currently with this video as an underlying issue, an attack on Bill Clinton for being a sexual abuser or whatever, and then trying to turn that somehow against Hillary Clinton is just as much of a dead end, if not more, because here's the thing. Whatever Bill Clinton did, Bill Clinton did. He's not running for president. And the thing is that, like, most people kind of liked Bill Clinton when he was president. Even the kind of people that are now considering voting for Donald Trump kind of liked Bill Clinton back then. Bill Clinton was a pretty good president. But we still have the basic problem here is that Bill Clinton's not running for president. It's Hillary Clinton. So an attack on him is kind of a waste of time in the first place. And, like, the people who hate Bill Clinton still all these years were voting for Donald Trump anyway. You didn't, like, by attacking Bill Clinton, you didn't convince other people to support you. But you did possibly alienate people who liked Bill Clinton, and now who are seeing you attack him and are kind of like, I don't like this guy anymore. So that whole, like, method, that whole avenue of attack was just going nowhere. So besides being, like, a really horrible way of trying to divert things, like, you get caught not doing your homework, and then you tell the teacher, well, Jimmy didn't do his homework either. Or you stay up late, and your parents are yelling at you, and you go, well, Ma, my brother Paul, he stayed up late too. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's not a viable argument. You should have learned that when you were 7, when you tried it multiple times against your parents and against elementary school teachers and it didn't work. It is worth mentioning, and I'm going to kind of just flat out assault Donald Trump here, though, that he acts basically like a child, and that's a really juvenile behavior pattern. But, I mean, like, see, and that's what we're kind of dealing with there. Then that's what that was. It wasn't going to work. And on top of that, like, first of all, no woman is ever going to, like, legitimately support that method of attack. Unless they were already a Trump supporter. But any other women are going to just be appalled by that. And kind of rightfully so. And we go back into that kind of same issue here that that existed with the whole Donald Trump marriage thing. Most people probably know a person who was like cheated on by their husband, and their primary thing that they feel is sympathy towards that person, not spite or a desire to antagonize them or something. Most people who look at Hillary Clinton, who was like publicly embarrassed by her husband cheating on her while he was in a public position, feel bad for her and sympathetic for her and understanding for her. So Donald Trump trying to be like, well, she was a manipulator attacking and badgering these women, even if that's actually 100% true, and she was this like spurned, cunning wife from like a comic book or like a novel or something, those people still feel for her. And that's why that attack was never going to go anywhere. So, and like the fact that he went through with it, even though a whole bunch of like Republican strategists were kind of telling him it's a bad idea, I'm kind of shocked. I'm actually not shocked, because Donald Trump's entire thing has been, people tell me to do things and I just don't do them anyway because I think I know better. And again, to be fair, the early process kind of validated that opinion of his. So anyway, though, we go into the debate tonight. The video there is a huge problem. He brings the 4 women who accused Bill Clinton of sexually assaulting them so that he can clearly make that a primary aspect of his debate. Worse is the fact that only one of them really has a valid claim. He did not bring Monica Lewinsky, by the way. But one of them had like changed her story multiple times, and I have to say, like, this is a topic that I personally don't care about because I think it's nonsense. Bill Clinton's marriage infidelities don't affect me, and they don't affect Hillary Clinton really. They also happened like 20 years ago or something. So if Donald Trump is going, well, I made those comments 11 years ago, well, Bill Clinton's questionable things. But anyway, yeah, and like, so I there could be more to this story. From what I saw, though, is that the one changed her story multiple times and was basically discredited. And the other one specifically made a comment that Bill Clinton had a birthmark or some kind of like disfigurement on his... anybody didn't know, by the way, Bill Clinton's actual name is William. On his William. And then like his doctor and Monica Lewinsky were both like, no, he doesn't. So, like, I don't know if she was talking about somebody else. I don't know if the lighting was really bad. I'm not exactly sure what happened with her. Or maybe she was kind of making up details. Oh, that seems like a really weird detail to make up. Something easily verifiably as false. But anyway, only the one woman really has a... I don't want to say valid, because valid's not the word I'm looking for. Credible. That's the word I'm looking for. Only the one woman has a really credible thing. And the allegations from the other women should absolutely be looked into, as they always should be. But, again, it's just like the Trump campaign's like tenuous grasp of like factual information is just sometimes shocking. So anyway, we go into, you know what, hold on a second. I'm actually going to stop here because I want to see how long this video goes. So once I kill this stupid orc experiment, I'm going to go do some stuff. So give me 1 second. Let me stand actually right here. Alright, yeah, I had to stop the recording because I wanted to check the time, and we're only at 38 minutes, so I think I have enough time to finish what I wanted to go. So we go into the second debate. I'm sorry, yeah, the second presidential debate, the third debate of the main stage. Second one actually being the vice president. We go into that, and it was absurd. Not absurd, like, it was just appalling. The whole time, I was just like, what? Like, did that just happen? Now, I took notes on it, and I did that for the first debate. I actually made a video for the first debate, too. But I didn't like where I went with the video, and I felt that the first debate wasn't worthy of me making a video, almost. So I ultimately just scrapped that video. I wasn't happy with where it was going. I just called it a day. So I did take notes, right? And at one point, I wrote "Holy beep, that just happened" in my notes. That was in... Okay, so if anybody didn't watch the debate, I suggest you watch it. I'm sure you can find a recording somewhere. But, like, at one point, Donald Trump said that when he's elected president, he's going to have the Attorney General appoint a special prosecutor to send Hillary Clinton to jail. Like, what? What? Did he, like... I'm watching it, and I'm just like... Did he really just say that? What? There's no way he actually said that. It's not possible. There's absolutely no way he said that. And the debate just went kind of downhill from there. It was just a, like, nasty debate. And he absolutely lost that debate. He was easily irritable the whole time. He argued with the moderators, which his supporters are gonna go, well, the moderators were being unfair to him, and that's what basically everybody says when they lose. But, alright, whatever. So he's gonna go. That's what they're gonna say. But, the thing is that even if they were, arguing with the moderators makes you look like a child. I'm sorry you were treated unfairly, but whining like it makes you look like an idiot. And that's kind of what he did. He argued with the moderators multiple times. Anderson Cooper pushed him on a lot of things. Anderson Cooper did a really good job, by the way. Obviously, Trump supporters would probably venomously disagree with that, but Anderson Cooper did a really good job. And it just... he's not a good debater, so he does come in with just an inherent weakness into this. And again, like, I need to, like... I want to give him his credit when it's due, and I give him his fair share. So I do have to say that, like, if we look at this, like, in a sporting event or something like that, like, I don't know, I mean, this is probably more towards American audiences, and, I'm trying to think of, like, a sport that's popular in both sides. And I don't really know enough about soccer to make a comment, so I'm gonna make, like, a basketball reference. And it's like taking a, like... I can't even make the basketball reference. Well, it's like asking a point guard or something that's really good at making, like, layups and free throws to have a 3-point competition. That's not what point guards do. Donald Trump is a really good point guard. He's not good at 3-pointers. So taking him into an arena where he has to make 3-pointers, he's not going to do well. But that doesn't mean he's not a good basketball player. It doesn't mean he's not good at free throws or, layups or whatever. It's not good. It doesn't mean he's not good at stealing the ball or just, keeping up the pace or something. He's just bad at this one particular aspect, and that needs to be acknowledged. But he came in and he did not win. So he seemed irritable. He seemed easily provoked. He seemed childish. He seemed immature. And the debate just went like that. It was just... Hold on, I want to pause real quick. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I kind of just looked over my notes to make sure I was hitting on all the points I wanted. It was just like the absurd moments where like she outright said he was unfit to be president, which I mean I kind of agree with, but like she still said that. I was still like, whoa, she said that. Whoa. That was a lot weaker than I thought it was going to be. She said that. She quoted, and I'm pretty sure she quoted the same line in the first debate. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. And then Donald Trump was like, she said, like, my good friend Michelle Obama said. And then later on, Donald Trump she said Michelle Obama is her friend. Well, Michelle Obama took out, like, really mean ads against her. I'm like, what? Are you seriously saying this right now? You cannot be seriously saying this right now. It's impossible. He told her she should be ashamed of herself and ashamed of her husband multiple times. It was just this, like, catastrophe of, like, awfulness that just took place. I'm looking at my notes again. He called her the devil by saying that Bernie Sanders signed a deal with the devil, which was kind of absurd. This is just absolutely absurd thing. But yeah, he definitely lost that debate. Like, no doubt about it. He lost the debate for sure. He did not achieve his primary objective, which was broadening his appeal to anybody who isn't already a supporter. He did probably achieve his shorter-term tactical goal, which was stop the bleeding from the video, because the video cut him deep. He was in critical condition. They needed triage right there. And he got it, I think, probably. A lot of, like, establishment Republicans and his supporters will say, well, they're all hypocrites. In fact, he actually said they're all hypocrites. Have, revoked their endorsements of him, kind of condemned him, and a couple of them asked him to resign and step aside out of the race. So it's, how many of those people who are Republicans but not Trump supporters but are still voting for him are now changing their minds? How many of them did he, convince to give him another chance? That's kind of the important thing. I don't know if he achieved that goal. I can't say for sure that he did. I can't say for sure that he didn't. Time will tell. But he did not achieve the goal of broadening his appeal to anybody else. Hillary Clinton's goal for this, her primary goal, was probably to somehow get a critical hit on him and just put him down for good. She did not pull that off. But besides outright crushing him, all she needed to do to win was appear semi-competent. And Hillary Clinton is an excellent debater, and she's an excellent politician. So appearing semi-competent is an incredibly low hurdle for her. Again, I'm not saying she is competent. The key word there was appear. I do, however, think she's a pretty competent person. And then she did that. She appeared competent, which was more than she needed to do. So she hit her objectives. Besides, she could have... It's less her doing it and more of him doing it. But it was possible that after tonight, the election was over. All metrics of determining who wins an election tell me that it is in fact over and there's no way Donald Trump can win. Donald Trump, however, has consistently defied the odds. So, as much as I want to be like, there's no way this guy could win, I'm like, well, he might. It's possible. He might pull it off. I really hope he doesn't. But it could happen. But he could have fallen far enough tonight that it was over for him, and he did not. He managed to avoid that, which, props to him. But he's still in a pretty terrible situation. Depending on how well he actually stemmed the bleeding tonight, things will play out differently. We won't know for a couple of days how that goes. It hurts that tomorrow's a holiday too, and people aren't really going to be like discussing this as much. Oh, gotta go on there. Let me finish my my video in the cave rats. So I mean, we're not really sure what's going to happen. Did he implode? Did he not? Well, I mean, you know, time will tell. Yes, he didn't. He's not out of the running right now, and his ability to ignore convention and I don't want to say like pull an upset victory, because you pull an upset victory when you're down in the game and then you come back and win. The game that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are playing are different games, and that's how he won the primary. They came in to play poker, and he sat down and played blackjack, and then somehow they agreed to playing blackjack halfway through, while he was winning with blackjack rules and they were winning with poker rules. So who knows what he's actually going to do. And that's kind of the scary thing with this. But yeah, so that's the state of the current election on as of October 9th, we're going to say. So yeah, there we go, people. So like, favorite, comment, subscribe, check me out on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and feel free to shriek obscenities at me for everything I said in this, because I'm sure I said plenty of things that's going to upset everybody. And I'll see you guys.